Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the New England Storm Wolves. My name, once again, is Spartan Mellow. I'm joined by Sugar Free, and we are getting ready for an Upsurge Junior League matchup for the quarterfinals between your New England Storm Wolves Lightning and D Rose. Sugar Free, talk me through it. What is the framework we should be looking into this matchup with?
Absolutely, would be my pleasure. We saw Lightning on this channel play against D Rose in week 4 of the UJL, and they lost 2-0. It was a tough match. It was Lightning's first loss within UJL. Those two losses are their only losses for the entire season within Upsurge. Just those two. So you can absolutely call this a grudge match. Lightning is coming in looking for vengeance. To speak a bit more about the matchup, to speak a bit more on what has happened in the past 3 weeks, we are joined by the NESW analyst, Yomi. Yomi, thanks so much for joining us. What have you got for me, baby?
Hey, yeah, definitely. D Rose is definitely going to be a formidable opponent today for Lightning. And like you said, they're gonna have a lot of energy, especially this is playoffs, but this is, personal for them. It's their only loss in Upsurge. And I really think that if we look back at the week 4 matchup versus D Rose, that a lot of things were out of sorts for Lightning. They didn't have their typical team comps. They had a sub game one, of course, so that's definitely a factor as well. Now with the full 5-man roster and definitely more standard, more Lightning central team comps, I definitely think that they can take the win here versus D Rose and advance to the semifinals.
That's interesting. We actually had a chance to talk with the coach, Ryuga, after, the matchup that they ended up, once again, losing a 2-0 in. And one of the things that he commented on is he said he felt that he was outdrafted, that he lost it in the draft both times. Can you give us your perspective on that?
Yeah, I definitely think that draft was a bit of a factor there. In the game one, they had Leo playing the Nico pick. That's something that is kind of out of the ordinary for him. The Blitzcrank as well, bot lane with Perky. They usually look for more of the engage slash peel champions, and getting back to that style of Lightning is definitely something that I'm looking for Ryuga to do today in the draft.
No, really, really good points. I remember watching that and it just seemed a little bit disjointed. And in game 2, they definitely got taken by surprise by the Shen pick, which the last time that they played, they had locked in the Evelyn for Lee Sinners, which for Lee Sinners is a great champion. But the Shen completely counteracted it. Anytime Lee Sinners looked for a pick, Shen was immediately ulting. The entire team from D-Rose was coordinated and immediately collapsing on Lee Sinners. And they didn't have a composition that could team fight when everyone turned around and focused the person that was looking to flank. So I'm really excited to see them go back to more of this front to back, we're going to just run at you and we're going to kill you type of compositions, which we have seen as kind of being the hallmark for Team Lightning.
Yeah, certainly. One thing that definitely D-Rose has been adapting a bit in the later weeks of the regular season is expanding their champion pools. I was doing some research last week, and their game last week versus Seas Get Degrees, they won 2 games to 1. They dropped the first game, and then in the last 2 games, they actually had very, very similar team comps, and they kind of hard rolled the games. They played a Jax top lane with Yone mid and a Seraphine bot, which, as you can imagine,
Ooh.
is a pretty scary
Yep.
team comp. And that is definitely something I'm looking to see Lightning either have an answer to or just completely take away. Because Seraphine and Yone are 2 champions that are very, very, very strong at the moment. And if they don't have an answer to, just might as well ban it.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Seraphine as first pick, first ban worthy in this series, in large part because we have seen Ordero play the Seraphine, we have seen Leo play the Seraphine, and both play it very, very well. And if if D Rose is also prioritizing this Seraphine and playing it and playing it well, then that becomes the high priority pick, because that champion it's disgusting. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm sorry, I try and stay level-headed when it comes to champions, but the champion's nuts. It is busted. It has to go. And what it did to Skarner's people, messed up, man. Real messed up.
Okay, I get the hate for Seraphine as as a character, but let's also not make sure that we're not overlooking what the main menace is, which is Moonstone Renewer. Those Moonstone champions and the healing they're providing. Riot has already said that they are looking to be able to start putting out these patches and these fixes, but that's not here yet. So you have to be able to play around all the healing that is right now in the game. And speaking of, champions or people who did a lot of healing last time, Assad's gameplay that he had was amazing. The global presence that he had. And so I'm curious to hear from you, Yomi. What do you think, what are champions that need to be banned, or what should we be looking for to see from this NESW group that should be able to neutralize Assad's presence in the match?
I definitely think that right now, just based on Assad's strength on the champion, and he's being pretty much the best jungler overall, Udyr is a must ban. The champion just can clear way too fast, have way too much impact on the map, and he can just run at you with Turbo Chem Tank, and there's not much counterplay to that. So I definitely think that has to go. But really, I do think that they should be focusing their bans either on the mid lane or the bot lane. With Assad, he has played 7 different champions in Upsurge so far. Okay. And he really has a wide champion pool. Yeah, like you said, an ocean. So I think rather than focus on banning him out, I think that you get a focus on getting Lee Centers like a handshake jungle matchup, something that if he has to fight him early, he will be able to survive, and just really drafting strong lanes. That way you can have winning matchups in 2 out of your 3 or all 3 lanes. If you get a strong matchup top and a strong matchup mid, that is going to go a long way into choking out Assad and making sure he's not able to get a lot of resources and do this counter jungling and apply that global pressure that he was showing a lot in week 4 when they did play Lightning.
It's a really good point. One of the things that I'm curious to see how it affects this matchup are the jungle changes that have happened over the past couple of patches. Previously, Assad could farm up and be a menace and would have a significantly higher gold income. But now with the changes, it seems to be that tank junglers that aren't quite as reliant on gold to be impactful, are really starting to take back over the meta. We're seeing fewer Graves, we're seeing more Lilia, we're seeing more Udyr, we're seeing Hecarim not build damage, we're seeing him also build the Turbo Chem Tank, because it is, again, another busted item like Moonstone Renewer. So I'm really curious to see if those changes also affect how this jungle matchup plays out, because it seems to me like it might be more in favor of naturally occurring a handshake jungle matchup, which you were discussing as kind of a win condition for NESW when it comes to draft.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really what I'm looking at, a handshake jungle matchup and a first pick for Perky, getting him on a really, really strong dominant lane matchup. He excels on that Misfortune, that Kaisa, champions like that, who just have a really oppressive lane phase. Take the 2v2, fight them, look for the lane kills, get Perky snowballing, and then take him and rotate him around the map and really force that advantage.
So one of the things that we've really started to see from kind of Season 11 as a whole, but really start to take everything by storm, especially in the competitive scene, is the big in-your-face support, the one who's able to get that crowd control and really be able to lock down the opponent. Now, we haven't seen a ton of it, at least on our end with NESW, picks like the Rel, the Leona. Should we be expecting to see some more priority from that?
Yeah, absolutely. Their support has actually played 7 games of Rel and only 5 games on other champions. So definitely that Rel is a super, super high priority pick. I think she is really the strongest support in the game right now.
Even with the most recent nerfs that she had to her engage tool in that W?
Yeah, yeah. Even with those nerfs, she's still incredibly strong. Just the amount of CC that she puts out, the fact that she gives her bonded target armor and magic resist, and she steals armor and magic resist
Yeah.
from the enemy is really strong. And she also can break shields with her Q, which is really can be really strong in a fight depending on when you save that ability for.
She's
So
basically
it's
everything Trundle wishes he could be.
yeah, literally. And she opens up so many combos with different champions. You know, Rel Oriana, Rel Nocturne, just very large amount of things you can do with that champ. If it definitely should be high prio up there, first rotation, whether it's first picked or on red side or blue side or just banned away. But into the row, we have seen a lot of Alistar as well, because that is a champ that once row goes in, can keep her from going out, or can, if buffered correctly, just completely nullify her engage. So definitely would like to see if Ordaro can pick that up into the rel if they do decide to give it over.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of engaging, we are actually going to be engaging with our draft here. Yomi, if you want to stick around and kind of give us a bit of your perspective on, the things we start seeing coming through. The first ban phase has just started, and we see the Yone banned immediately, as well as a Skarner on the opposite side.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Like I
Yep.
said, that Yone was very essential in them turning around their playoff series last week. I think just getting that out of there is very smart for Yuga.
Yeah, really good thing. They were talking about it in the Discord chat yesterday. They were talking about what is our answer prepared to Yone if we let it through. It seems like the answer is to ban it away. And one of the things that I'm really interested to see today is what champions are we going to see out of Leo? You know, we talk about season 10 Leo was someone who played a lot of bruisers, played a lot of assassins, wanted to go in and monkey out, for lack of a better phrase, and that is the perfect phrase. But this season, we have seen him picking up a lot of these control mages, playing the Seraphine, playing the Oriana, champions that he previously avoided. All right, so are we going to see him monkey out, or are we going to see control mages? That's the big question for me. As Hecarim locked in for NESW, I love this because Hecarim is a champion that runs circles, figuratively and literally, around most other junglers right now.
And looking at the rest of the bans that we have here, you have the Rel, you have the Udyr, those really high engage tools banned out, as well as the Kaisa and Seraphine banned on the red side. Now, a quick Thresh comes in here. He does pair particularly well with something like a Misfortune if they want to try to take that away from Perky Parrot, or even something especially like an Aphelios or another high DPS champion. Throwing out that death sentence can be a literal death sentence for a lot of champions. They choose not to get any sort of a pair with it, with the Gragas being hovered right now. Ends up being a quick change to the Lilia.
Good pickup
Yeah.
for D-Rose. Lilia, a classic counter pick into the Hecarim.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Just handshaking the jungle matchup. Hecarim and Lilia, super standard with that. Now, what I'm looking for here, definitely for NESW, would be to lock in their bot lane to pick a strong matchup. Probably get Perky on the Misfortune, or Daro on like an Alistar. Would definitely be a strong 2v2 matchup, and really safe to blind. The Lulu as well is a very good pick. Very safe blind pick.
Especially
I'm
with
interested to see if that's a flex pick.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too, especially with, looking at what that Shen was able to do in the last matchup. Do they want to throw that Lulu into the top lane and from there potentially be able to find a pick or two? And I like the Tristana coming in right now. One of the better, especially better performing ADCs that we've seen recently. She's able to output just so much damage, and she can hard push that wave, exactly like Yomi, what you were talking about.
I don't know. I love it, and I also hate it. Because Tristana into Thresh is a little bit weird, is a little bit tough. The Xayah coming through is exactly what I was expecting for D-Rose. NESW, with the first pick, Hecarim, was all about this heavy dive composition, and Xayah loves being anti-dive. The Tristana also wants to jump in. The nice thing about picking the Tristana here is that it keeps D-Rose from actually picking the Kaisa, which was banned away. So never mind. I take back any point that I was going to make because it's completely moot as Gnar is banned away. Ignore me. And we're moving on. We're moving we're moving on here.
Yeah, I definitely like what NESW is doing here. I can see where D Rose is trying to go with the draft. They've drafted the Lilia, they've drafted the Xayah. They're banning away now ranged top laners, so they're really looking to force NESW into the all-in hard engage in your face composition, which Lilia and Xayah are extremely good into. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to lock in for their solo lanes. I would like to see a Jax ban here. Their top laner has
Please
6
ban
games
the
played on
Jax.
Jax, and he has been very strong on it.
Yeah, I think Jax absolutely needs to be banned. He has a difficult time in these team fights because Lulu and Tristana kind of say no to Jax. But for the side lane pressure, we know that Tony likes taking these tanks, these team fight champions. I would love to see it banned, but no, actually banning away the Kassadin, which makes me think Leo might be trying to pick up the Echo. Because Kassadin has a very happy time into Echo.
Now,
I would love to see Echo.
One of the things that we also can't necessarily rule out, Tristana is technically a flex pick. We could also see her go into the mid lane. Now, we know that typically Leo doesn't like to play that kind of a play style, but going into playoffs, you never know what Ryuga might have come up with. So it'll be one thing to keep an eye on as we see the Scion come into the top lane for D Rose. Yes, he does have some fairly good engage, but that is another meaty frontliner, as now it's going to have a Shen going into it. Yomi, talk to us through these matchups you're starting to see forming as NESW rounds out their draft.
Yeah, I'm seeing here with the Scion into Shin. Scion, a very safe, very standard pick top lane. They're really taking away, like I said, they're handshaking the jungle matchup, and they're taking away the pressure that you have, because when you gank a Scion, yeah, you're putting resources into putting it down, but it always feels like Scion's going to have value and be a force in the game regardless of how hard you put Scion down. So really just trying to get great matchups, and looks like they're going to handshake the Syndra and the Echo here. And I think that makes for a very strong early game for NESW.
Wait, that wasn't the Echo that I was talking about. I wanted to see how it's Echo.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Sugar can predict the future. He just doesn't know when it's or where exactly it's happening.
Exactly.
All right. So, Yomi, talk to us through what is the major win condition, or like what are the ways that you see both NESW trying to execute their comp to get the win, and then D Rose effectively on the other side as well.
The major win condition here for NESW is definitely to get that Tristana snowballing off the ground. She is going to need to get a lot of gold in her pocket and kind of accelerate that if she wants to be able to take over this game, because the later this game goes, the harder it's going to be to kill that Scion. The more armor he's going to be able to stack and the tanker he's going to be able to get. I definitely think NESW, if they get an early advantage with the comp that they have, they are able to really choke them out when it comes to objective control. D-Rose is never really going to be able to walk into a Syndra Hecarim Shen. And NESW really can set up their recall, set up their vision at a time where they're always first to the objective. It's going to be a very tough time for D-Rose.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You look at these two compositions. Something that I have found as being very true for amateur League of Legends in particular is that people are really uncomfortable in playing reactive compositions. Compositions where you need to wait for the other team to engage first before you go in. And D-Rose has that type of composition. It is very difficult for Xayah to walk forwards into a Hecarim, into a Syndra, into a Tristana. So it's going to come down to them turning around with a Lilia sleep, with an Echo W, with a Scion ult, after the Hecarim goes in, followed up by a Syndra stun. So these team fights are going to be really interesting, because the Lulu is a really good counter into the Echo, because Echo jumps in, can't burst a target because of the wild growth out of Lulu, and the polymorph prevents Echo from immediately ulting out. So if they're able to chain CC on him, it's going to be a Jensen Echo all over again.
One last question here, Yomi, before we let you go. Talk to me about what we're going to see in this 2v2 in the bot lane, because as we said, we know that we want to be able to get that Tristana ahead. How does that Lulu, especially the Lulu into Thresh, how are we looking at how this matchup should be working? Does Hecarim need to be able to pay lots of visits down there, or do we think that they should be fairly self-sufficient?
Definitely with the double range bot lane, Tristana and Lulu are going to be able to get the prio basically whenever they want. So if Hecarim needs to come down for Scuttle, come down for Dragon, they're always going to have first push there. They're always going to have first push when it comes to setting up ganks or dives. So I definitely do think that this is a winning 2v2 for NESW. However, D-Rose does have really, really good counterplay. If let's say that the Lulu or Tristana ever step out of position, they are both very squishy, so they can get blown up very quickly by the Blade Caller or the Death Sentence from the Thresh or the Xayah. So it's definitely a volatile 2v2.
Yes or no? The first team fight will determine the game. What do you think, Yomi?
I do not think so. No.
Okay.
Alrighty, well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Early game doesn't matter whatsoever. Thank you, Yomi. I'm kidding. So, hey, as we switch on over here, you get to see our lovely faces one more time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are getting all the champs selected. We'll then have the 3-minute pause for competitive integrity, and we will see you after that for Game 1 between the NESW Lightning and D-Rose. Thank you very much. See y'all soon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to Game 1 of this quarterfinal matchup between your NESW Lightning and D-Rose. All right, Sugar, talk me through what should we see here as we get into quick level 1s, both teams starting to feel out the river.
Level 1s should be just the 5-point. I'm just really looking to see which side of the jungle do these junglers go towards. I would love to see Hecarim able to influence the early game, because Lilia's influence on the early game is really just counteractive, as Killua sitting here in the pit, going to land the hook onto Perky.
Oh, this could be big. Perky able to use the rocket jump to get away. Not necessarily what you wanted to have as your level 1 ability, but able to get away there. We'll get a quick back off. I don't know that he even got a ward down. Looks like he did, so it's not completely useless, but quick disengage there. Hopefully that should be good, as it looks like we should have a Raptor start for the Lilia and a blue buff start with a bit of help there for the Hecarim.
So, 2 things to point out that are very good. Perky doing a good job of not immediately leveling up an ability, saving his point to be able to level up the rocket jump to get out of the hook from Killua. And I like Lee Sinners starting on the red buff, knowing that Lilia's probably starting her Raptors, matching the path that she is taking so that he can fight in the bot lane early on, cover Perky, cover Ardero during this volatile stage of their matchup.
Right now, just a lot of easy trading going back and forth. We've got Tony trying to put some pressure onto the life bar while it's still somewhat low onto that Scion. As now we actually get a bit of push coming in. They did get to lane a little bit earlier, so I'm not surprised to see that from Gubash and Zoldyck.
Exactly,
yeah, we have a pause coming in real quick.
During the Rocket League match, we talked about how is it really a broadcast if there aren't any technical difficulties, and the answer to that question is a resounding no. There must be technical difficulties. I demand technical difficulties. That is what has been said to us, and that is what we are hearing, and I'm only a little angry about it.
Yep, that's all right. We're going to head back to our face cam so you can be a little bit less angry about it, because you get to see a little bit of us here. How are you guys doing, chat? Chat, please make sure to calm down, chat. Gosh. But hey, so right now looking at it, obviously we're not seeing too much. Very simple, very common starts for both of them. I think the only thing particularly of note is that the Scion went for a Corrupting Potion to begin with instead of a Doran Shield. So especially with some of these early matchups, Tony's going to look to potentially see, hey, if you can get him down far enough, maybe that Hecarim comes in over quickly, has an early gank, and they can see if they're able to get that quick kill on him. Maybe trying to at least make that laning process just a little bit simpler, get Tony a bit more easily put ahead so he can be in that position where he gets to that level 6. And Speaking of 6, we're just under 6 seconds from going back into it, so let's pop on into the game again as we see that trade, just as I mentioned, going on here, forcing Windblade under his own tower. Scatter of the Weak able to come in, putting a bit of crowd control on him, but right now just sitting back as finally the bot lane will hit level 2 for the Stormwolves.
Yeah, a couple fun things to know. Shen versus Sion. People will always think it's a handshake matchup. Shen does have an opportunity to kill there because of the max health damage on his Q, as we see Windblade getting taken very, very low. So that matchup going to be volatile, but Tony can be aggressive because he knows that Lilia started on the top side. He knows that Hecarim is pathing down. He knows that he is safe for right now. Other thing to note, Kilowatt opted for the Guardian as opposed to the Aftershock. Normally you see Aftershock on Thresh to get that extra bit of tankiness because he is a very squishy, engage, pick-oriented champion. As Lee Sinner's wrapping around onto the spot lane, jumping in from Perky.
There we go, he's able to jump in, gets a few hits, but here comes the Lilia out on the backside, something to watch. Perky Parrot's gonna get collapsed on. Swirl Seed ends up hitting, flashes in, Ordeo's potentially going down. She misses the Eep, and now Lee Sinners is in trouble, ends up giving off first blood, although Perky Parrot gets one back on the far side. Perky Parrot still fighting a bit with Assad, trying to see if he can get a bit more down. Will not be able to. Gubash will stay alive, and it is a 2-for-1 there for D Rose.
So NESW was there first, but D-Rose able to have a good response. They were ready for that play, able to flash away, able to prevent the damage from fully coming through. So NESW going to be behind in this bot lane. Honestly, it is okay. Perky and Ardero just need to stay safe, get to this level 6 without dying again, get their flashes back, because at that point, Tristana vastly outranges Xayah. It's very difficult for her to be able to play the game, and Ardero can sit back and just boost up Perky.
Alright, so talk to me through this. Now with 2 kills under her belt. Oh, 1 second, we have a bit of a skirmish going over the Scuttle Crab. Lee Sinners is going down fairly low. Assad gets the Scuttle Crab and will walk away with it. Now finds his way up to Tony. Windblade ends up having the level advantage, forces the taunt there out of Tony for him to be able to escape.
Wave in a good spot for Tony. Totally okay, even taking that losing trade. He's at no pressure of being dope. He's going to be able to collect this wave, push out the next one, reset, and have his ult and tele available for when Lee Sinners hits his level 6 to be able to return bot lane before Xayah has the ultimate, has the Feather Storm, and is able to avoid the dive from Lee Sinners and Tony. That is the window for NESW. They need to take advantage of this flashless, ultless Xayah before it is too late, before it becomes too difficult to be able to dive her.
Thing to note there, she does already have a Caulfield's Warhammer, so she already is working on that ability haste. The more that she's able to pull out that root call, the more potential danger you can be in, especially if they go for an engage. You don't want to be in the middle of that when she pulls that and sits you down, and then you've got a big old Lilia coming in to put you asleep.
Exactly, and we've seen a couple of different... Stop pausing! I want to see things! I want action!
All right, not quite sure. There's a pause. Yep, not quite sure what's happening with this one, but we're gonna once again head back to where you guys can see us. Hey, chat, how you doing? Hey. But yeah, so this is, I mean, overall, not a great start. There's already a 10 CS lead in the bot lane. Jungle looks fairly equal, although of course the Lilia does have 2 assists compared to only the 1 for the Hecarim. You know, this is a time when I think we need to start seeing this Syndra pop off. She did go for the early tier, so she's starting to build up that extra mana, trying to keep that out. But if she's able to start getting some sort of a global presence and start impacting some of these kills, she does have the Dark Seal. She can build that into a Mage Eyes and become the ultimate threat that they'll need her to be until Perky gets fully online, which at this point there still seems to be about a half level disadvantage compared to Gubash on that Xayah.
Yeah, speaking of that Xayah, we see Xayah's going for a couple of different build paths. The builds are almost always the same, but the path is sometimes different. You will sometimes see the Xayahs immediately go in for the Gale Force followed up by the Essence Reaver. Sometimes you will see the Essence Reaver first, valuing having that mana, having that ability haste in order to have the Featherstorm available, the Root Call available. More often, we see Goobash opting towards the Essence Reaver first build path, which I think is probably a good call given the composition that NESW has put together. Putting together this dive composition. So what we need to see now is how does NESW respond with their first play having failed? Where do they go to next? I'm looking for a repeat down into the bot lane where they can make a play happen on the summonerless Thresh and Xayah. But it's really going to be dependent. The game's pace is currently being dictated towards them. They might have an opportunity now with Leo having just gotten back to lane, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, thing that we're really going to have to watch out for as well is right now we have both the Lilia and the Hecarim on that bot side. And what that's going to lead to is that's going to lead to a situation where we might have another potential 3v3 in the bot lane. And at this point, I don't know if that's what you want. Assad does have that little bit of an experience advantage. We saw that he was a level up earlier. And now as he's going for another full clear, if he's able to do that and jump in, they're either looking to take that first Drake or they're potentially going to see if they can end up making it, to a position where they're able to go from there. It looks like we're about ready to go. Apparently one of the players is having a ping issue, so we want to make sure that, of course, he's able to do the best that he can as we get back into the gameplay.
All right. Whew! I'm very happy to be back to gameplay. I'm back in my happy place, which is inside of a League of Legends cast.
All right,
so,
we saw the death sentences come out there. We do see the collapse coming in now on the Inferno Drake, and it looks like they'll be able to take that without much pomp or circumstance as Lee Sinners is deciding to just go back to his, to base here.
Yeah, absolutely the correct decision. Don't need to force anything if you're NESW right now. Let Tony continue to build up his massive lead in the top lane, finish pushing in that wave, and going to have an opportunity for on Lee Sinner's next clear, his next rotation of camps into the bot lane, going to look to possibly dive bot lane with a Tony Lil Shen riding on top of the horse.
Now the good news for that is that Tony Lil is the level 6. I mean, so is Windblade as well. But Tony has, what is effect, 2 teleports at his disposal now. He's got the Stand United as well as his regular teleport itself. You did notice he did back off just slightly there. The Echo did make his way into the upper river. So a safe play there, making sure that he didn't get collapsed on. As now, not a good thing, Goobash is able to break open that first turret plate. So it'll be interesting to see the priority now that comes around as Lilia is on top there, 45 seconds away from Drake, from Rift Herald. That might be a play they end up going for as they try to put themselves in a position to really expedite that lead that they have on Goobash.
Yep, and you see that is probably what D-Rose is looking for. They took resets right there, probably to look to rotate up towards that Rift Herald to secure that objective, which NESW is going to be okay with because Tristana takes turrets very, very quickly. She is the demolitionist. What they also needed to do is they had to reset because Perky had just come back with a reset and was sitting on the Noon Quiver, which is actually a better buy than just the Soul Caulfields. So Goobash getting in that reset, picking up that Sheen, picking up that extra dagger in order to keep up with Perky because Goobash has these extra kills, this extra gold in his back pocket.
Interesting play there. Perky the Parrot ends up going in, forces out the ultimate from Goobash. Perky, once again, putting a bit more damage on, will force the Xayah back, although it won't be enough. Root Call is going to put a bit more damage on Ordero, but it's nothing more than just a little bit of makeup at this point. Just a little blemish, if you will, on that.
I will say it is a little blemish. But no, really good call out of the NESW bot lane, recognizing that Thresh showed his face in mid lane and saying that is an illegal maneuver. Perky saying, let's have a party, jumping in immediately onto Goobash. And Hecarim is here. He knows that Xayah's ult is down. Flash is going to be down, is up, back up to Goobash, and D-Rose able to recognize the gank, able to back away.
Yep, Hecarim did a great job just kind of forcing them out there. Once again, just letting this Tristana farm up. There is that bit of a level disadvantage, and so anything that she can do to be able to get back into this game, hopefully try to finish that mythic item at the same time, as Lee Sinners comes in, gets a good bit of crowd control on. Sweet Punane is in a bad bit of time right now. Does get to the shield from it, but here's Assad, comes in, uses the sleep. He's got one down. Assad getting a lot of damage, but Leo will end up getting the kill onto him. A great play there. Had to use the ultimate for it. But hey, you do that to be able to get yourself into this game, and that's what we need to see is this Syndra taking the play, getting the kill, and hopefully starting to get a bit of a lead there in the mid lane.
Yep, and this is exactly why you pick the Shen. NESW saw last time that Shen counteracted anything that NESW wanted to do. This time, Tony is going to be able to counteract anything that D-Rose wants to do. Look, found a good gank opportunity, found a good angle, used the Shen ult, picked up the kill. Really good work out of NESW. Rift Herald did go over to Assad, and I want to take a moment, talk about the builds out of these two junglers, because I was very curious to see what they would decide to pick up. Assad on this Lilia is going to be going for this Moonstone Renewer, which we were talking about as a busted item earlier.
We do have Lee Sinners coming in though right now, especially under tower, throws him back under, ends up forcing the flash out of it, but it's not potentially over yet. Yes, he is 2 levels down, but that is one fast horse, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if he can do it. Ends up getting knocked up by that. He's chasing through. There is still a party in the mid lane though, so Hecarim is going to back off, respecting that as they get the Rift Herald down, and this should be the mid tier 1, which is a massive push there. Yeah, although Assad's going to be in a bit of a bad position, Tony's going to be coming in. Leo flashes up, forces the flash out of him as well. Punani will take a lot of damage, but no kills come out of it, as now Lee Sinners has focused the dragon. Going on in, we are still only 7 seconds from that spawning. He'll get the Scuttle Crab, and I'll take a quick breath while you set up this fight for us.
Yeah, first turret going over to D-Rose. Absolutely, they're right based on the early bot lane play, based on taking the Rift Herald, based on the Echo into Syndra matchup. However, picking up that dragon, getting the ultimate cooldowns lower, actually enormous for NESW. And back to the previous point, jungler item build paths. I actually don't like the Moonstone Renewer this game for the Lilia, and the reason being, Shen, Hecarim, and a Lulu ultimate. It is very difficult for Xayah on her own to be able to get through that beef, to get through those front lines. She is very good into diving assassins, less good into tanks. She doesn't have any innate tank killing power like a lot of the other AD carry champions, like the Kaisa, for instance. Meanwhile, Lee Sinners going to be going for this chem tank purifier damage, run at them fast item, which we've seen become so popular for the Hecarim, going to get in, start up fights on his choice, and still deal a lot of damage and be very difficult to take down. Echo can't deal with it, Scion can't deal with it, a Moonstone Renewer Lilia can't deal with it, so very interesting item choices from both junglers.
Definitely. We did see a big power spike just come out of this. We do have the Rocket Belt coming out for Sweet Punane. And now the question is, he's got even more engaged potential. The Moonstone Renewer has been finished. This is a massive time for D-Rose to see if they could try to snowball this lead, because if they're not, then you're going to have this Tristana able to get on most likely a Kraken Slayer coming out of her. And from there, being able to pick up just so much additional damage. Sweet Punane and Gubash have these slight level leads, so they need to be able to try to use them here if they want to be successful.
Yeah, if I'm D-Rose, the thing that I'm really looking for...
Oh, big Death Sentence comes in. Box has popped out as well. Ordero trying to keep his ADC alive, will not be able to. Zoldyck will be able to push in, as now we get Lee Sinner starting to come down, but he's got Assad and Punane right behind him. This is not a good position, and they might even look for a dive. Echo continues to try to push in. Lee Sinners is just going to try to back. Will he be able to successfully? The answer is no, as the Thresh ends up getting in there. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Windblade is still pushing in hard on Tony, as now the blue side jungle is all here just for D-Rose to take. You see a little bit of still skirmishing. Scatter the Weak will find one. Going in hard now as Lee Sinners ends up popping his ultimate. Will he be able to get this? The Stand United comes on in. Tony, though, you're not that fast as that dang deer as she's just prancing away. Still have a bit of trading going on right now here in the mid lane. The question is, can anything happen off of it? No, it will not. So it is a turret down in the bot lane for D-Rose and nothing back on the other side for Lightning.
I'm not sure if there was a bit of a miscommunication, Perky possibly thinking that he was going to be getting the Stand United out of Tony, but jumping in like that into the feathers that were already down, honestly, seemed a little bit crazy to me.
I mean, that, like, Tristana as a character is crazy, but you shouldn't necessarily play her that way. This is still a strategy-based, multiplayer game.
Nope, we go in.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea. You want to make sure that you're doing something, to try to get that advantage back. Although right now you're about to find a death sentence onto Ordero. Ends up using the ultimate on himself. That's a huge cooldown used there. We got a teleport coming in from behind, though. Lee Sinners ends up trying to use the crowd control on that, yet there's a Scion here who's going to be doing a lot of damage. Taunt comes in from Tony, who teleported in as well. Scion will use his ultimate to get out as we have another teleport coming in. Leo wants some of this action as well. Scatter the Weak will end up missing, and once again, it is a nothing for nothing. It's just 3 teleports used in total, 2 of them for your Stormwolves. So now they're at a slight TP disadvantage because of that.
NESW looking to set up for this dragon, and another fight.
We got 3 coming right on. Windblade's going to see if we can get it. Oh, one horse is going to fall asleep. Going to get the knockup as well. No, gets the flash out in time, and he looks like he will be able to escape. So a flash forced out there from the Lilia ultimate, as now, they're just going to be collapsing down onto a great play there by Tony. Ends up getting the taunt. Looks like the support might be the sacrificial lamb, although he will make it out as well. This is just a lot of things happening, and absolutely nobody is dying. That can't last forever, though, folks. Still trying to push.
Scatter the Weak!
Still trying to push into the pit. This is a Mountain Soul pit, so this will be a lot tougher to be able to just find your quick way into there, as now the rotation starts to come up. They do have vision on him thanks to that Scuttle Crab. Swirl Seed goes in, trying to find a little bit of damage. You can hear what's coming. There we go. Just trying to zone away, seeing if they can try to get it without much bloodshed. Although right now it looks like they're getting faster and faster.
This has to be an NESW dragon. It has to be. Look for. Does Tony have flash? Tony does have flash. Look for a flash taunt. They are setting up. Getting into that corridor is very dangerous, even without the Hecarim Onslaught of Shadows. Lure goes out. They've got vision.
They got vision. They're trying to pull it a little bit down lower. All right. So starting to look at this, they're trying to pull it away. Both teams just afraid to make that commitment until they actually have some form of CC. Lilia ultimate. Lilia Ultimate's almost back up, although it looks like they're going to pass this one off. I think they just realized how much experience and how much gold that they were missing out on trying to keep for this, and they'll just give it away. D-Rose getting their second Drake of the game, first Mountain, as now, Leo needs to be able to grab this mid lane wave, and actually it looks like they're pinging on the Rift Herald, trying to see if they could get that before it ends up going away here in about 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, and if we can take a quick look at the gold, I think that's a big reason why there's a 5k gold lead for D-Rose. And if you look at these individual lanes, 1k down for Leo, 1.5k down for Perky, 500 gold down for Tony. Everyone is behind on the side of NESW by a significant margin, and that is why they have to give that up. They don't have the resources, they don't have the power spikes available to them in order to win a fight. Right now, they need to be able to find a pick and take advantage of the fact that they have the Shen ultimate, take advantage of the fact that they have the longer range engage.
Now, thing to watch out for is now that this Echo is split pushing and really doing a good job of just trying to deny resources in the jungle is, how are the rotations going to work out here? Obviously, having your mid tier 1 down means that your motion options are going to be very much already, kind of kneecapped with that. But as we really start to look at the builds going around, Sugar, what are we seeing? I mean, we don't even have a full mythic item completed yet, almost 19 minutes into the game on Leo.
Yeah, Leo has definitely been starved a little bit, especially on the side of farm, and now he's going to have to be in a side lane against Echo, and this is usually when the matchup between Echo and Syndra gets very Echo favored, but that doesn't take into account that Leo has a Shen. Leo has somebody standing behind him, just like all of NESW has all of us standing behind them, rooting for Lightning right now, rooting for a Storm. We have said, D-Rose, you get no umbrellas, the storm is going to come pouring down on you, and it's just waiting for that Lee Sinner's Onslaught of Shadows with a stand beside me coming out of Tony, right with him, for the whole storm to be brought down on D-Rose.
All right, we end up getting the Death Sentence coming out. Will not find a target, as now we might have a collapse here in the top lane. Lee Sinner's coming from behind, ends up not even using the taunt yet. Great crowd control there coming from the Hecarim, just whittling him down. He's like 2-level advantage, what's that? Ends up using the ultimate to buy a little bit of time, gets the unstoppable shadows going in, and now Lee Sinners is on the bad end of this. Ends up getting the ultimate coming from Ordero, will not do anything though, as now they're collapsing, and that is 1, 2, 3 down for the Stormwolves, and D-Rose will look to be able to take they're pinging for a 20-minute Baron out of this. This could be slow in case the Syndra wants to be able to try to come up and see if she can contest. Does not look like it. It's pretty hard from the blue side here as it is. This will be a 20.5-minute Baron power play going over to D-Rose, as they just have a massive lead over 8,000 gold at this point.
Yeah, and that's the difference between a Divine Sunderer and a Turbo Chem Tank Hecarim. If Hecarim had a little bit of damage, he would absolutely have been able to take down Windblade before he was able to ult and run away to his team. But not having that extra damage coming out of Lee Sinners, possibly taking him off guard, means that NESW didn't have the damage to make the play on the overextended side laner, which means that D-Rose showed up and NESW goes down, not able to have enough damage to take down this very strong Scion, who now has a Tiamat building into this Titanic Hydra, which is going to absolutely affect the Shen in the side lane, who I believe is going to be building up towards a Stair-X gauge, going to try and get a little bit more damage out of him, be able to influence the game a little bit more, as Bluebash now has 2 items completed. Moonstone Renewer, however, just picked up for Ordero, so maybe they'll be able to find a winning teamfight, find a winning skirmish, find a pick, but right now it's looking very, very difficult for them to be able to do anything.
Yeah, especially you got the Xayah, who now has both the Gale Force as well as a bit of armor penetration coming in from her kit. You've got the Lichbane coming in from that Echo, and that Zanya's coming in for Assad. You know, all he has to do is just flash into the middle, use his Q, and then, you know, put them all to sleep while he just sits and waits, as Leo is just tickling Wind to death right now as he jumps and ends up getting the stun. Ultimate is used there as we got a little bit of crowd control, as right now Windblade still keeps on taking a bit more damage, forces a flash out of him as well. So I need to move up slightly. Swirl Seed coming on in, will not find anyone. They still have all their engaged tools in case they want to re-engage this and go back in, although it looks like they're moving around for a position here onto the dragon, trying to take their third one to keep that clock ticking, so that they don't have a late game Tristana coming at them without a soul to act as a barrier.
Yeah, the Scion is nigh unkillable. I really wish we would have seen Leo go for the Liandry's rather than the Everfrost. The Everfrost right now is very, very strong. And
well, there's the Everfrost being used, as now we've got Perky the Parrot also coming back in. Ultimate is used there, but he will still go down. Perky the Parrot with his second kill of the game, trying to come back in some way, shape, or form. Now, here in the mid lane, we do have a matchup between an ADC and a support. Not something you see every day, although Lee Sanders is going in fast. He will just avoid the death sentence thanks to the good placement of the ward there. And now just a bit of a handshake between the two as we start to move back into the jungle.
Yep. So I would have liked to have seen the Liandry's to be able to... Oh my god!
Onslaught Shadows coming in, ends up getting a bit of a flash. Ultimate put out there, and now there's some sleep though. quickly has turned around. Lee Sinner's still trying to get some more damage done. Does not have anything, though. That is 3 down already, and now Assad is just chasing them down. Not sure there's much they can do except for a wonderful Scatter the Weak. Almost chunks them out entirely, but it will at least keep them from sieging quite as quickly. So this will be a tier 2, likely down with the Baron empowered, Baron empowered minions are gone. Oh no, Tony gets hit by the Scatter of the Weak, ends up getting flailed back, and just like that, Leo's all by himself, already used his flash, and now looks like he'll be able to get that down. Although it's only on the Scion, not the pick that you want when you're looking at a 6-0-4 Xayah on the other side of things.
Yeah, Leo able to save the game first with a massive 4-person scatter the weak, then able to pick up the return kill as D-Rose jumped in, trying to put a nail in the coffin. Important to note, Gubash no longer has flash. Zolda Killua no longer has flash. Maybe an opportunity for NESW to find this 700 gold bounty as they all join up onto Sweepin' On. Sweepin' On ults, goes in, tries to get a counter kill onto Perky, but Perky stays alive. Sweepin' On caught out once again. A little bit more gold going into Perky's pocket, which is exactly what NESW needs. They need D-Rose to throw just a little bit more, give NESW one more opportunity to get into the game. A minute left until Baron. If Sweepin' On gets picked like that once more, that could be the turning point that NESW needs to take back the game.
Well, yes, on one hand, I do agree with that. Still, the thing you have to look for is right now there's still a lot of dark spots in their own jungle, which is going to be hard for them to be able to come on out. While it is good to see Perky being able to do so well here, you know, still, that's a very farm-strapped team, especially when you can't even go into your own jungle for the most part. Now, Tony is, he's a little bit far out here. He should be good. Lee Sinners is going to be coming around the side looking for a potential dive. Windblade ends up getting the knock up there as Tony's health bar is just melting in this 1v1. Will he get killed 1v1 himself? No, Lee Syndra is going to be able to get in here in time. Knocks him back, still doing lots of damage. The Syndra is here as well, and looks like with the Everfrost will just root him in place, and they'll be able to get the kill over to Lee Sinners.
Yep, and that's exactly what they needed to find. Find a pick before this Baron spawns, which means they will have an opportunity to all walk up into the top side, still have the Shen ult, still have the Hecarim ult, still have the Syndra ult, and be able to possibly find a 5v4 fight, because Scion does not have teleport, and D-Rose is starting the Baron. This can't be a good idea. Can Perky get in range to blue trinket the Baron, see if they are starting it?
I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I don't know that you have the ability to necessarily get in there too deep. Lee Sinners is just going to zoom right on through, but he's got a level 15 coming on him. Ends up getting the Smite Steal! What a great use of the Unstoppable Shadow. And now Perky the Parrot jumps, and he's in the middle of the box, though. That is a huge root call. Is going to knock 2 down, as it's still a fairly even trade for the most part. 3 quick kills coming down. Gubash will go down. That's a huge play over there for Tony. Leo will not be able to get out on the other side of it, and it is an ace for D-Rose, although they did stop the Baron. That was an incredible use of the Unstoppable Shadows just to get in there and win that 50-50 smite.
Oh my god, Lee Sinners stole the Baron. That looks to be the opportunity to turn the game around for NESW, but Perky's ultimate did not kill Gubash. Gubash lives with 1 auto left, not able to kill him as he was ulted out of the team fight. If Gubash goes down immediately during to Perky the Parrot's ultimate, to that ultimate out of Tristana, that is also a 1 team fight, despite the Assad 3-man sleep into 3-man root feather call from Gubash.
So here comes the next play. Teleport in. Tony goes for the taunt, ends up just getting a little bit of damage, although look at that shield coming out from Thresh as well. He's in a bad position, forced to flash out. Another teleport coming in. Unstoppable charge coming from Windblade, although once again, finding himself in a bad position, but with that much health, he might still survive. Lee Sinners ends up getting hit by the death sentence. Now going on to the far side, they find the Lilia, although he will end up getting out based off of that. Lee Sinners is still in the middle of them. Does he have enough damage to do anything? A great use of the stopwatch there will keep them alive. Sweet Punana is still going ham on the far side of things. Tony will pick up a few more kills, but it will not be enough. That is a 2nd straight ace here in a 5-for-2 for D-Rose.
Oh, the 10k gold lead for D-Rose, just a little bit too much to overcome. Perky saw heroics, he went in. That was such a close team fight. Assad able to find a clutch lantern thrown out by Killua, able to stay alive, able to get off the massive sleep. Perky jumping in, trying to kill off Assad, not able to kill him off quickly enough, not able to kill him off at all, so he goes down after getting caught by a death sentence coming out of Killua. Oh my god, NESW is fighting back tooth and nail. If only there wasn't a 10k gold lead between them and D-Rose.
You know, I think the thing to watch out for, that was, I think, pretty much a excellently played team fight on the part of NESW. The problem is, as you mentioned earlier, going for the Turbo Chem take instead of the Divine Sunder, when the Hecarim got in the middle of everyone, he was not able to put down the damage necessary to be able to win that team fight, because there was still little and low health bars, but they were still there on so many of the D-Rose players. And just like that, we see them now fully ramping up. They have the Mountain Soul, so they've got that extra shield, so it's going to be even harder to get them into these team fights. As now Tony gets a lot of damage going down onto him. Sweeping on it, just happy to do a fair bit of damage, about half of a health bar, casually, and starts to move his attention to try to clear out this top wave.
Yeah, and right now, I think that was NESW's last real chance to be able to win this game. The Mountain Soul has gone over to D-Rose. That is 3 Mountain Dragons. That Scion is not going to die within this game.
I mean, yeah, ever at this point.
Yeah, he's unkillable. By Windblade is not going to use Scion to his fullest capability because he's never going to actually use the passive on that champion. So really it's NESW understanding how to play their champions better, because they use the passive on all of their champions.
All right, we start to see a bit of a movement here. Unstoppable Shadows ends up actually having to be used to get out of the death sentence. Perky the Parrot is actually going to get hit by that Swirl Seed. That's going to be a fair amount of damage onto him as he has to rush under tower. As now the second inhibitor falls. Tony, though, trying to see if he can find something on the far end. Gets the taunt off, doing a bit of damage. Doesn't have much backup, though, as now we have a 4v4 here in the bot lane. Windblade, once again, forgetting that damage actually exists, just standing there taking everything. A great use of the ultimate was going to keep them alive. Leo ends up getting a bit of damage. Hey, there's a kill there by Hecarim. Lee Sanders, though, will not be able to do everything himself, as now Lilia is just cleaning up on the backside. What can Shen do? Shen's going to see if he can try to get something off of this. Tony, though, not having it. There we go. Gets the taunt, gets the kill, but what is it worth? There's another tower down as they start to push onto the second Nexus tower. It might be the end of it. I don't know if Tony can do much here. There's still 19 seconds before the next death timer is back. It's a bit of a taunt, but ladies and gentlemen, that will be it here for Game 1. D-Rose will end up taking it over the Storm Wolves, as this is now 3 straight games between these teams that have ended this way. Congratulations to D-Rose on this one. We're not over yet, folks. We still have Game 2 coming up here before too long, as now you see us here again. I gotta ask, Sugar, give me a breakdown. What are you feeling from this match here? What can... we'll talk a little bit more about what they can do going forward, but just what are your overall impressions from this Game 1?
Tough Game 1. NESW had a game plan in place. It kind of fell apart after that first gank in the bot lane getting turned around on them. And it seemed like they weren't able to find what they needed to get back into the game. They found good fights, but they were already 10k gold behind. So just going to come down to make that first gank work. I am very excited to see NESW come back for Game 2 and see what they can come back with the second draft. See if they can come back stronger. Hopefully, they'll all have their rogue energy to pick their spirits back on up. I think we're going to go ahead, take a quick break as we get ready, get prepped for game number 2. I think we're going to go ahead and see how to put together your own rogue energy. Make sure you are set, ready to go so that you have energy for game 2 and hopefully a game number 3. Congrats to D Rose, 1-0 up in this series. And Spartan, unless you got something else to say, I guess we're just going to see everyone after this break.
Definitely. Take care. Make sure to stay, watch the ad. Hopefully you guys are going to get some quick refreshments yourselves. We will see you ready for game 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in here for game 2. We have switched sides, so NESW will be on red side, D-Rose on blue side. Let's see if that'll make much of a difference as they get going in here. We see the Skarner, quick ban again, once again, just respecting the playmaking ability. Udyr coming out as well. Oh, actually might be a Hecarim this time.
Yep, banning the Hecarim. I think that's a good choice. I think Hecarim is a really strong jungler, and I think NESW is going to look to handshake junglers, look to deny D-Rose from having these disengage opportunities. I'm really not sure what NESW can do within the draft to be able to set themselves up more for success. I would like to see Ordero on more of a playmaking champion as opposed to the Lulu. I think Ordero is really, really strong when teaming up with his jungler, with Lee Sinners, in making plays happen, in finding these engages. And it just seemed like NESW bot lane was a little bit out of sorts in that game.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it fully ineffective, but they just did not seem to really be able to get any sort of advantage. And especially when you're looking at the fact that then there was, mid lane was an advantage was going over to Punane instead of seeing anything really come out of Leo. You got to think, well, you have to get something somewhere. And we see the insta-lock Rel come in. There's the playmaking champion you're looking for. And so now I'm assuming we're going to see NESW trying to pick up something to deal with the fact that they just gave over a first pick Rel. Maybe we do see the Alistar come out here having that disengage option. That would also be a bit of a playmaking ability. Or do you just go full Leona with it? Or in this case, looks like Thresh trying to fight on the other side of things. So the question is, who do you pair with it? Do you go for True Misfortune in kind of typical perky fashion, or where else are you looking?
I think you actually pick your jungler right now. I think Lilia is probably the highest priority remaining jungler. So I wouldn't be surprised to see NESW pick the Lilia. I really like the Thresh as the response into Rel. Although the Tristana is actually going to be the pickup, I think still a good opportunity. It allows Perky to jump in. It allows Perky to jump out. I think it's a good choice. I think Perky on this Tristana is actually really good into what D-Rose is putting together in the bot lane. It's going to be very difficult for Rel to find an opportunity to take on the Tristana. Also, whenever Rel jumps in, as long as Tristana's not caught in the initial engage, Tristana ultimate pushes him away. The Buster Shot pushes the Rel away. It denies Rel's ability to engage at all. And the Lilia also picked up. I think this is fine for NESW. I'm really curious to see what Lee Sinners wants into the Lilia.
It'll be interesting. Typically you think of like, oh, hey, Graves is a really good matchup. But as you mentioned in the pregame, you don't necessarily want that, as we see an interesting pick with the Ziggs.
Bot lane.
Really? Bot lane yes. Ziggs.
That's going to be bot lane Ziggs. The Yone has been left up, so they want to play the Yone. So I am sure that Yone and possibly Yasuo are both going to be banned in phase 2 for NESW. The Olaf is the pick. I think this is a good pick because Olaf just runs through. There's nothing that can really take him down, because picking the Ziggs means that your sustained damage, your sustained DPS, which is really necessary against an Olaf, is going to be completely lacking. You don't have the marksman, but both bot lanes take down turrets very, very, very quickly.
Definitely.
Mordekaiser taken away. They have to take away the Yone. They cannot forget about this champion.
You say that, at the same time, they seem to really be respecting what Windblade's champion pool is, and the fact that he is so versatile and so good on it. There is the Yone hovered. Will they lock it in? There we go. So there is the ban. So now you're expecting a Yasuo. Can you explain your reasoning?
So Yasuo is another AD mid laner, which D-Rose desperately needs. Otherwise, they're going to have too much magic damage and not enough physical damage. Maybe you're going to see the Jax or the Camille out of D-Rose, which would allow them to play an AP mid laner, but I think the Yasuo also fits their composition really, really well. Lilia Sleep into Rel combo into Yasuo ultimate is very, very strong. So I'm curious to see if the Yasuo will come out. Also has a similar playstyle to Yone, and I do believe that Sweet Punane does play the Yasuo. So I'm really curious to see what D Rose is going to pick up as their responses, as the Scion gets turned around and he's going to be picked up for NESW. I love that pick. Tony is a master of these tanked matchups, so I want to see Tony really pop off.
Yeah, Tony's on weak side duty once again this week. It's kind of just what, somewhat competitive.
It's what Tony does.
Yeah, it's also what League of Legends is right now. You get a guy who's not going to die, who's going to have some good engage, and that's where Yomi was talking about, though. This Jackson to the Scion is going to be a rough time. We're going to need to make sure we get some jungle presence up there. Otherwise, this Jax will just single-handedly take over this game like he did back in week 4.
I think that this is actually... Oh, the Lucian! I had forgotten about that. That is a good pickup for D-Rose. They desperately needed some DPS, but Lucian is not the champion that you want to be playing when you have to take down Olaf and Scion. It's just... They are too beefy for Lucian to be able to get through, and if Jax is hitting them, then Tristana is completely untouched, and there is no tank to soak up the Tristana damage.
And in Annie?
That's an Annie!
Oh my gosh!
Annie! That is
Darrow.
Annie. We have to make sure that that isn't a mistake. That is Annie. This is a champion that Leo, I know, has been practicing, and I think Annie is a great choice for this NESW composition.
Can you tell me why? Like, what is this going on here?
D-Rose's composition is incredibly squishy. The moment that Annie is level 6, Lucian cannot dash forward, because if he does, he dies. No ifs, ands, or buts. Additionally, the Annie shield on top of the Olaf running in, people forget, Annie's shield still reflects damage based on Annie's AP. So when she puts that shield onto Olaf, who is running into the back line, being attacked by the Jax, by the Lucian, by the Ziggs, all of that damage, a whole bunch of damage is going to be returned to them. It's like having your own Thornmail, but on a low cooldown ability for Annie. Just call me LS, just call me likely sugar-free, because I am excited for Annie.
I will say, once again, we're going to throw over here, look at this one more time. As far as comps go, you're right. You've got a real traditional front-to-back from NESW. Yes, throwing that Annie down is going to be a great way to either engage or disengage, especially if you've got a big old Jax on you. I think that's going to be the big thing, is what starts to happen when we get going with all of this. Like, is the Rel the one making the plays? If the Rel is the one, well, if that is, I think NESW loses. Because if they are the ones who get the engages, there's so much damage coming out there. The Lilia is going to be able to put that sleep down. The Jax and the Lucian are just going to pound away, and the Ziggs as well will then be able to make it so that global presence is there. But if NESW are playing their game, they are playing smart, and they just play as a team, that's going to be a really tough thing, especially when they start to go in, people are going to start popping.
So normally when I think about how do team fight compositions start fights, I think about, okay, what is their first layer of engage? And what is their second layer of engage? And can they make that land? If you look at the composition for D-Rose, Rel is obviously the first wave of engage, and the second wave of engage is either Jax jumping in or a Lilia sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that is it. If those two don't land, then they have no way to start a fight. And the thing is, Thresh is very good at denying second waves of engage with the box, as is Tristana denying first waves of engage with the Buster Shot. So if they buy enough time for Annie to come out of a sleep, for Annie to come out of a rel engage and drop Tibbers, that there's no way that they can respond, because Annie, Tibbers plus Scion decimating Smash is going to, and yes, I'm really going to do this, is going to decimate the entire squad. An entire thundercloud is being dropped on them, and lightning is striking pew, 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 pew everywhere.
You know, there's only one way we're going to find out what's going to happen here. Obviously, Sugar is insanely pumped about what's happening right now. I'm a little bit more skeptical, but hey, there's only one way that we're going to find out what's going to happen, and that is in about 3 minutes' time. We will be back with Game 2 here on Summoner's Rift. Until then, once again, make sure to sit back, relax. We will see you shortly. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into what might be a deciding Game 2 here in the Upsurge Junior League of Legends playoffs between D-Rose, who are up 1-0 on your New England Stormwolves. All right, so talk to me. What should we see in this mid lane matchup? Because you know you're the new LS here, who's loving it so much. So
fun. We are seeing some fun. I was talking with Spartan during the 3-minute spectator delay about this matchup. So normally the handshake matchup against Lucian in the mid lane is actually the Syndra, but Annie has a lot of similar qualities for how her trading patterns match up against Lucian's. Because Lucian is a very short range AD carry, a lot of times he has to dash in order to get the double tap followed by an extra auto to proc to press the attack. Annie, however, drops the shield on herself, returns some damage, mitigates some damage, and interestingly enough, Sweet Punane has swapped into the bot lane. And
fascinating.
Has gone into the mid lane. So I think that is actually a really smart decision out of D-Rose, because Lucian is able to do better in this bottom lane, especially with the Rel, and Ziggs has a much better time as a matchup into Annie in the mid lane, because Annie does well against things that she outranges and does worse against things that she is outranged by. And fun fact, Ziggs outranges Annie, and Annie outranges Lucian. Not sure if you all knew that or not, but that is how that goes.
I haven't quite downloaded the range matchups into my lexicon, although we do see a lot of heavy trading on. Very Jax heavily favored, as we expected here, especially in the first few levels. Just going to be putting down a lot of damage. The big thing for Tony is just trying to make sure to mitigate the amount that he's down going into the level 6 when finally people really start roaming here. It looks like so far he's done a fairly decent job.
Yeah, the big thing that I'm really waiting for this top lane matchup is for Tony to get the Bramble Vest. The moment that happens, Jax loses every single trade into the Scion, and that is because every single trade gets returned as a good stun comes out of Leo, procs the electrocute, and
Death Sentence ends up hitting, but not going to be too much. I think right now what we're seeing from Perky is very different from last time. He's starting off very laid back, just trying to get the farm. You know, Lucian is a bit of a short range champion. I'm sure you know the exact ranges between Perky and Sweet Punane themselves in this case, but regardless, we do have a Lilia showing some presence down here in the bot lane as she's getting the Scuttle Crab. Looks like she's not going to pay much additional mind, though. She might if this bot lane gets a bit too frisky.
Yeah, I don't expect Lilia to be able to do too much, and yes, I do actually know the exact ranges of pretty much everything. Early on, Lucian is going to be fine into the Tristana, because Tristana doesn't have much range yet, but by the time she is level 6, she begins to reach that 575 range, which becomes very difficult for Lucian, who only has the 500 auto attack range. So one of the interesting things that I was noting in loading into the load-in screen was actually that Zoldyck Killua on this Rel opted to go precision secondary tree in order to get the legend tenacity so that he can stay alive from all of the CC combo that is coming out of Leo on this Annie and Ordero on this Thresh, while still being able to pick up the Tabby that are going to be very important in surviving against Olaf and Tristana and Sion.
We do see a good word there put into the river, making sure this time they don't have a Lilia accidentally stumble upon them. Just a lot more relaxed of an attitude. As we get the stun in here from Leo, is at a level disadvantage, still putting some good damage down before taking a fair bit himself. Overall, we can see that the Annie has already backed once. She used her teleport to get back into lane. We're now going to see the Ziggs do the same thing, I'm assuming. Unless he's just going to walk back himself. It'll look like nope, able to pick up the tier, and at this point will just automatically teleport back on in.
Yep, and exactly how it's expected, NESW has gotten through the most difficult part of these laning phases, because Leo went in with armor, expecting to lane against the Lucian, and Perky went in with magic resist, expecting to lane against Ziggs. Very important to note that, because those early resistances make a massive difference in how trades can go. Meanwhile, Lee Sinner's just trading, and Leo getting low.
We have a level 6. Gubash is ends up putting him in. Will be one more auto attack, and that should do it. First blood goes over to Gubash.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Gubash hit level 6, but Windblade probably going to die here to Lee Sinners.
Ultimate was just popped there. Tony ends up using that as soon as it came up. A beautiful play, ends up getting the kill. Lee Sinners with the assist. It's what you like to see. Already this jungler having a good presence, as right now Dragon is being taken on the bottom side.
Yeah, and Leo just taken very unawares by... Oh, Gubash going to try and take away the Scuttlecraft, not able to.
Oh. No, actually, he was. Gubash was able to take that one away. The smite was 10 health off on that one. That's embarrassing. As right now, Assad ends up finding themselves in a bad position. That bomb is going to hit and just do barely enough damage to scare the deer. Will not find the kill, though, although that's a great play, making sure no actual vision was able to be put in the jungle. Nothing's able to be stolen away. Fantastic play there by Ordero and Perky, keeping that jungle fresh and clear of any sort of deer.
I love it. I love it. And we see Tony building up to the Bramble, not able to get it on his first back, but still has the teleport, still has a back available to him. Going to collect this wave, probably TP back. Earlier, Leo going down to Gubash, not expecting the level 6. I wasn't either, because Leo's cannon minion was still alive, and Gubash randomly hit level 6 before Leo did, despite getting the cannon experience. So, taken aback, taken by surprise, not sure how that experience advantage got to be like that. But unfortunate, and Assad is in the NESW jungle looking for a camp or two. Meanwhile, Tony sticking around at low mana, going to try and bait by Windblade, see if Leo can show up and maybe get a flash kill onto Windblade.
And here comes Leo in a good position, although they're going to find the Lilia on the back end. Lilia able to find that, although she's not level 6 yet, so she doesn't have the sleep available to her yet. Looks like they'll just be able to easily walk away, although this is a fair bit of experience and gold being missed out on right now by Leo. Assad might be trying to find the pick. Ends up getting the swirl seed, hitting on. There's a Rel right there. Ends up getting the knock-up as well, and that will do it. Assad finding the pick. And just like that, Leo's second death of the match.
Leo deciding not to flash. I actually really like that decision, because him flashing or not doesn't change whether or not D-Rose is able to get an objective. But because Rel roamed up for that play, where they won't be able to secure the Rift Herald, it means that Lee Sinners is actually able to get 3 camps ahead on his clear. It means that Tony is able to clear another wave and will be able to get a reset that he wants, and Perky is also able to pick up a turret plating in order to get back ahead of Sweet Kunane.
Meanwhile, we look at where the gold is so far. Currently, it's about a 600k or a 600 gold lead right now. We've got a bit of a lead up in the top lane in the jungle, but man, that mid gap is starting to look fairly big. A 1300 gold difference between there. All right, starting to go in. Sweet Lion ends up getting a big hit. A great disengage there by Gubash, but the death sentence hits! There we go. Lee Sinners will be able to take down the kill, calling down the power of Thor himself. The lightning bring the lightning to the matchup, end up getting the pick. And now they have to reset. Looks like the eyes are on the Rift Herald, although there is a Rel, as well as it looks like there might be a Jax ready to push in here. This could be dangerous. if there ends up being any additional push. It does not look like there will be, though. This should be good to take it.
Yeah, Tony has teleport. Blue-Bash does not, even though he is respawned. That is a Rift Herald over for NESW. Ordero was the executioner and judge. He sentenced Blue-Bash to death despite the flash, and now Tony, with the Bramble Vest, with the Bammy Cinder, is smacking by Windblade. I am looking now to see where will these Sinners place that Rift Herald that they just secured. The Mountain Dragon is spawning in 35 seconds, so that is the next objective. Tony does not have teleport, neither does by Windblade, but Tony has secured the first push in top lane. He can walk down, secure some vision. He could, if he wanted to, walk down to this dragon, and it just depends on whether or not NESW wants to fight for this dragon. I don't think they will unless Leo's bear gets to show up once more.
And, you know, they are setting up a lot of vision around it, so it looks like they might be trying to go for a play. Ordero doing a good job. Might pop the blast cannon a little bit soon. Looks like, won't actually go for it. Gets a little bit lucky with that as well, as right now the top laners are just smacking each other around. We actually have a real thing going on, just a lot of posturing down in that bottom river. Both of these guys likely will not be a factor in this thing, as neither of them have their teleport up, as now they're just kind of backing off, and Tony looks to be starting to go up, just continuing to farm. His Rift Herald still has plenty of time on it. Although, look at this, the Lilia decides not to go for it yet. Ends up backing off and will just start to clear some of her jungle.
Yeah, they're probably trying to wait for the Jax teleport to be available, to be off cooldown, because in a 4v4, NESW is in a strong position. A lot of their ability to play the game is invested in by Windblade with this 30 CS lead over Tony. However, Tony has now hit the breakpoint to be even, and Tony is going to walk into the red buff that by Windblade was trying to steal away, going to say, no, that is Olaf's red buff. You are not allowed to take that. And these Sinners going to be able to pick up the Gore Drinker, which is the first big item spike that we see in the map.
Yeah,
I
that's
also
interesting.
I also want to point out, Assad is once again going for the Moonstone Renewer, valuing having the extra healing. I don't think this is the correct decision in this game, because you need the extra help to be able to get through Tony, to be able to get through these Sinners, to be able to get through Ordero, and there isn't much poke coming out of NESW. It is all an enormous amount of burst, and I don't think the Moonstone Renewer is going to be able to help against that. Oh my god!
Wow, that's a lot of damage up in the top lane. So, uses the Unstoppable Onslaught, will not be able to find it. Windblade will also be able to jump out of that, and now we get the fight around the dragon. They have Prio in both they had it in both the mid and the bot lane, as now they start to look on this. There is going to be a collapse. Ziggs and, that Lilia just had a bear dropped on her head. Will she look like she'll be able to still get out? Zoltek's going to be going on in. He does have the Magnus Storm available. Still going to be jumping on in. He gets hit with the Death Storm. Ends up using the ultimate to no avail. Blazes, I don't care about that. Meanwhile, we have a 1-for-0. They're able to flash in the Ragnarok, able to get them out to safety as the top laner joins them here as well.
Yeah,
Teamfight is not over yet, because Leo jumps in, ends up getting the kill onto the Jax. They're still looking for more. He's jumping on in, because what else do you do if you haven't? The jungle creeps though are going to be getting in the way. Lee Sinner's in a bad position. He's going to be taking a lot of damage to see if he can still stay there. Ends up taking the Thresh Lantern out, and in the end, it is a 2-for-0. They got the Drake, and now they can really start to push their presence on this map.
Yep, absolutely. Really good job from NESW taking
might be a big play here. Ends up using the flash to go in. Will get the kill as well. The 1v1 there. Sweet Punane ends up going for the deep dive, although he might be collapsed upon now. Tony does not have his Unstoppable Onslaught up yet, so they might not be able to catch him. Looks like they're just going to be able to hunt for him a little bit in their own jungle before backing off. Lucian will be able to get away with it.
That is 2 summoner spells used for a kill and a blue buff, which means that NESW will again have priority over this second Rift Herald that is spawning in just over a minute because Sweet Punane is not going to have the summoner spells available to him. Meanwhile, NESW able to secure that Drake because by Windblade, despite having the teleport advantage, needed to reset, needed to go to base in order to get his health and mana back after Tony took him down to below half health after getting that massive decimating smash and soul furnace off onto him.
Now, something curious to think about that we do see a Bork coming out, sorry, that is Blade of the Ruined King, coming out first on the Jax instead of going for something like a Trinity Force or something, an actual mythic item. Also, just like last game, this time we see Sweet Punane going for the Essence Reaver first, once again, instead of getting a full value off of a mythic item. What are your thoughts on this so far?
I think those are actually two fine decisions. Lucian is really gated by the amount of mana that he has that he's able to utilize in these long fights, as by Windblade pops the does not pop the ultimate yet, as Tony is able to trade back. They're both half health, but Leo is here.
Good disengage. Ooh, Death Sentence will miss. The bear will come down, though. Zotek's in a bad position as now everyone's going on it. A great use of the bit there, and now a giant bit coming in. We do see stopwatches pop. Leo is still somehow surviving on the back end, or they were trying to do a little bit as the Zombie Scion is doing as much as he can. Gubash will get one, and now will he be able to survive? Leo knows he's just on the edge, trying to see if he can get something back on up. Gets a bit of health from that. Oh, a great play there by Gubash. Will end up getting the shutdown. A 4 for 3. As a back and forth team fight will go their way. And probably even more importantly than those kills. Oh,
Perky,
yep, sorry. We've got Perky coming up. Can he get the solo kill, which would be a massive thing? That's going to be a lot of damage. That is a dead Ziggs on that one. Gets the shutdown kill. And just like that, once again, they turn out even here. But Lucian did get a whole lot of solo experience as well as a full tower on his own in that bot lane. Let's see if Perky can do something similar up here on top, trying to make sure that that gold advantage doesn't get to be too much. We can see that there's still only about, realistically, 100 gold between the two bot laners, which is just what you want to see.
Yeah, the entire difference is between Sweet Punane and Leo. Currently, Leo has completed the Everfrost, which means that is a massive amount of lockdown for when by Windblade and Kilowatt try to jump in. That was a picture-perfect fight for D-Rose, getting a 4-man Rel ultimate, 4-man Rel W into a 4-man Ziggs ultimate, and a 4-man Lilia Lilting Lullaby. But even with that, NESW was able to...
They're going for a full collapse. I'm sorry about that. We get... Oh, the Everfrost right there just kept him down, and this will be a quick and easy tower. And they might even start escorting a Rift Herald down deep into into possibly a tier 2 and potentially even starting to threaten the base already. You can see already big damage coming through. That is 2 turrets. It's exactly what we wanted to see, as now a little old Scion has decided to walk into 3 people trying to take it, as now they get another charge onto the tower itself. Will they actually get the entire tower itself? It does not look like it, but man, that is so much damage done onto that top turret there, that now if you are D-Rose, you have to respect the fact that all it takes is one person going slightly up and your base has been broken open.
Yep, the NESW makes a good trade. They decide, we have our vision, we have our resources into topside. Go ahead, pick off by Windblade, who is, again, ahead too far with no safety for him. They get the pick, they use the Rift Herald in order to get 2 turrets, as well as almost the entirety of that inhibitor turret on top lane. And they really don't lose much except for that first Infernal Drake and now this mid lane turret in response. Honestly, if I'm NESW, I'm very happy with that trade, because more gold into their important players, into Perky, into Leo, into Lee Sinners, who has now been a part of 8 of the 9 kills. Lee Sinners absolutely showing up, stamping his name on this game.
All right, as we start to look at what's happening, we see lots of vision currently being spent to keep that Baron pit nice and safe here from NESW. Other than that, I don't know if we're going to see many true team fights coming in soon. I don't really think you go for the Baron this early. I think this is where you have to start to make sure you're playing safe. Don't find yourself getting picked out, and if possible, see if you can get one on the back end of somewhere else.
Yep, right now you should see everyone sort of handshaking farm in all 3 lanes, because NESW is waiting to build up to second items on Leo as well as onto these sinners. Once these sinners...
They end up getting the pick, though, there. That'll be a quick kill. Perky gets another one donated over to him. 3-0-2. This is exactly what you wanted to see. He might not be quite as high up in the farm, still down 20 CS compared to the Lucian, yet he's doing such an amazing job finding those kills and is really having the impact that way. A beautiful death sentence, although we might get now hit back on the other side. Punane, and not able to get the kill at first because of the wonderful lantern. Sadly does end up going down, but the Thresh will get the shutdown on top of it. And just like that, it's a 1-for-1 when it realistically shouldn't have been anything like that. Now Tony's going to get picked out, will take a slight little nap, and that will be all that's wrote there. Assad ends up getting the kill. Tony, even in his zombie form, really won't be able to get much additional gold on top of that. And so we get a pick in either way. It's, oh gosh, sorry, they're turning right onto the Baron. Let's go right to that already. Looks like they're going to disengage quickly after just getting the Scuttle Crab. It's interesting that they started to already do damage and called it off so quickly.
I think they realized that Leo had teleport and they don't know the exact cooldown of what Tibbers is. And if they tried to fight while sitting inside Baron Pit with an Annie, with Leo flashing on top of them and dropping a bear.
We got a teleport coming on, and here is the Scion. Let's see if he can do something. They're hunting for the Jax, who's going to try to teleport out of there. Will he be able to get there in time? It looks like he will. They're not able to get any sort of crowd control, and now they're just hunting, but won't get anything off in response. That was a very lucky play.
They know that Sweet Panane is on these Krugs, and without teleport, which means they can take control over the top lane river around this Baron, able to reestablish some amount of vision control. Important things to note: top laners now no longer have teleports, which means Leo and Gubash are the 2 teleports remaining, which means they can be in the side lane. A minute left until this Infernal Drake. I think this is going to be around when we see the next team fight, and NESW has first priority over establishing vision. No, I take that back. Ordero needs to reset, but they do have the teleport advantage on Leo, which means that they will have advantage on this top wave.
Interesting to see if they're going for a flank right now. This Jax is playing very safe as we just have Leo almost trying to hunt for this Jax on the far side. They will get some good clearing out, although I do not know if this is something they want to be able to start up when it comes up here in 35 seconds. Meanwhile, we've just got a little bit of posturing going on here in the bot river as each team is trying to find that positioning that they need as well as the vision they need to make this play happen around a critical 4th Drake.
Lee Sinners is on 2 items. Perky the Parrot is on 2.5 items. And
there's
goes
what
down.
we were looking for. Leo ends up going for it, although the ultimate was popped, and just like that, Windblade will find the solo kill on the Annie, even with the Everfrost, even with the bear stun. He was just waiting there for so long. Now let's see if Perky can get something back on the far side of it. Culling has come in, although it's not going to find much. Big death sentence get there as the Magnustorm is going to grab 3, though. That's a ton of damage all coming down at once. They get 1 back. Assad will end up going golden, although it will not be much. There is a kill that will come out, but in the end, it is an ace for D-Rose, and they have taken back control of the game that for a while was securely in the Stormwolves' control.
Yeah, Leo went for that 1v1 onto by Windblade, but he did not have the second item completed, so he was not able to burst Windblade, who was sitting on that Kindle Gem extra of health, as well as that Hearthbound Axe. Meanwhile, the hook from Ardero was fantastic onto Killua, but it did not last long enough for him to be able to prevent Killua from getting a massive Magnet Storm into the Ziggs ultimate, which comboed down the rest of the team. Tony's ultimate was not able to land. Perky was able to land a lot of damage onto Sweet Punane, but did not have enough follow-up from the team, did not have enough damage through Sweet Punane's exhaust to be able to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, once again, as you mentioned, that the Magnet Storm into the ultimate coming there from Ziggs is just, it's a terrible position to be in, because especially when you hit a multi-member Magnet Storm like that, there's nothing you can do, and just so many health bars were just extinguished before they could really have much of an effect on that battle. And as you mentioned, just Leo finding themselves alone against the Jax. Like, yes, I get it. You can do a lot of damage. You've got some awesome pick potential, but this is a Jax who's like past level 11. He's got the double upgrade in his ultimate. He has the full Trinity Force. That's not a battle that you want to take unless you know you have reinforcements, which he didn't.
Yeah, Leo really needs to find ways to beat the team. He is too far behind to be able to make solo plays onto anyone other than probably Lilia, because she is still level 12 and will die quickly enough. But Leo really needs to be with his team to be able to set up a team fight, be able to set up Tony for landing a massive ultimate, this unstoppable onslaught into Decimating Smash as...
Oh, sorry, going out. Holy, the weak ends up coming out, getting another kill. Punane has really been popping off in these two games. You know, he hasn't been necessarily the most flashy in game one, but he just had that solid performance on the Echo, and now he comes in 4-1-1, as now we have some more trading from the once were top laners.
Yeah, and I think this was actually a game where Perky should have looked at the Gale Force rather than the Kraken Slayer, because having the extra mobility is more important than the tank slaying, because there really aren't any tanks on the side of D-Rose, and Baron goes over, no contest, thinking about Lee Sinners flashing in, ulting, comboing down a smite, and getting a lantern out, decide not to go for it, decide instead, we're just going to look for our next team fight. But Ziggs is now level 16. By win, Jax is now level 16. NESW is very far behind in experience.
They are, and now once again, we just see the range coming out here. The Ziggs throwing out his ball and Lilia bowling for soup with hers. It's just so hard to be able to get close onto these guys, and if you do, once again, that Magnet Storm is up. It's level 11, so it's going to be even more powerful coming here from this Rel. Now,
yep, Leo's flash is almost up. That is the timing for NESW to look for a fight, is Leo flashing in into Tony, starting up his ultimate at the same time. We need to see that coordination out of NESW Lightning.
Now, Windblade, even while fighting under tower, still able to get another one, so putting good damage down. Inhibitor goes down as well, as they continue to put more damage and more pressure onto this base, and they might be able to keep going here. It looks like they're still trying to put themselves in a position, trying to take two turrets. They have the double empowered cannons there. Look there. Oh, sadly, Tibbers does not find its mark, although she will get the kill. So there's a shutdown gold going on to Leo. The question is, will it be enough, as their base has been broken open? It's in shambles. They're still down by 5k gold at this point. What's the way that they get back into it?
There's a minute coming for this next dragon, which is Soul Point for D-Rose. NESW needs to find a fight. It's really unfortunate that Leo had to expend his flash in order to kill Goobash, but killing Goobash does secure NESW first access into the dragon area, into the river, where they can possibly set up a pick, because Zoldyck Killua was not able to leave any wards whatsoever for his team to see NESW walking in. Leo clearing this bot wave, looking possibly to get level 16, not able to get it, going to be trying to build up his stun, be able to sit with his team and find a big Tibbers. NESW must secure this dragon or the game is over.
We got 15 seconds till that dragon comes. We now get all the positioning here. Oh, looks like Rodero was potentially going to try to go for a death sentence from the other side of the wall. Ends up not going for it. Lilia's ultimate is up. In fact, all ultimates are up right now. So this could very well potentially decide the game if they end up losing it. Starting to move down here from the bottom as we start to go in. These Sinners and Perky doing lots of damage as the Jax jumps in, ends up getting 2 there. Magnet Storm will hit 3, and now the sleep comes. It's the wombo combo of all the abilities right now as finally Windblade will take the first one down. Tony will fall secondly. The Gubash, and now they get Windblade a little bit, but the healing that he has is just ridiculous. It's a 4-for-0, and now they look to wrap it up. It's a clean ace. It's a soul on top of it, and that could be the Nexus as well.
That has to be the game. D-Rose did a great job of setting up their wombo combo. Leo was in a really good position to be able to try and find a flank on an unsuspecting big group of D-Rose, but this composition had significantly more range than NESW was able to account for. Leo was not able to find the ultimates, and I really think that lane swap of Sweet Kunane and Gubash switching the Lucian and Ziggs really tore apart NESW's game plan.
Definitely. And folks, while we didn't see it happening there, as you now see us, that is going to be the game going over to D-Rose, end up winning this one 2-0 in the series, and we'll move on to the semifinals next week in the Upsurge Junior League playoffs.
Yep, and that is it for NESW Lightning's Upsurge season. Really unfortunate to see them lose here once again to the side of D-Rose. They played their game well. They seem to have Lightning's number. Really sad to see that. I thought NESW Lightning put up a really good fight. Really able to put together opportunities to win, even when they were very far behind. So, really good effort out of Lightning. Really sad to see them fall. I'm really proud of the boys. I think that they have improved a lot as the season has gone on. I'm hoping we can maybe get Ryuga Kwan, coach of NESW Lightning, in here for a quick post-game interview, give his thoughts on the season, give his thoughts on the match.
Exactly.
Spartan, anything else?
So, and as was said there, we're going to try to get an interview for you, regardless if we do or not. We will be back here in just a few short minutes, be able to talk to you guys and wrap up what has been a successful League of Legends season in some aspects and disappointing in others. We will be back here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere as we look to wrap up this match. Thank you guys so much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are joined here by Ryuga Kwan, the head coach of NESW Lightning. Ryuga, welcome on in.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, welcome on in, Ryuga. Tough loss. Sad to see it happen. Why don't you walk us through what happened in that second game? I was really hyped to see the last pick Annie. I thought it was a great choice into the Lucian, and then the role swap, the lane swap happened. What was going on through your mind when that happened?
Yeah. So basically, we had known that they do play Ziggs bottom with the rel. That was something they've done in the past to set up the rel W into E into ult followed by Ziggs ult combo. And so we were looking at it as okay, that's Ziggs 80 carry. They picked the Lucian. We know probably a flex, but we figured that they would stick with the Ziggs 80 carry. But then they swapped. I thought the Annie was decent in either matchup, because even though Ziggs has the range advantage, you always have that Tibbers, at level 6, either for solo kill or with jungle ganks or around dragons. So I think at least in game 2, the draft I think was okay. There was some misplays, I think, some miscommunications, but overall, I was happy to pick the Annie. I thought, considering the circumstances, it looked fine.
Okay,
Yeah, no.
well, thank you for giving us that insight on that. Kind of since, this was a playoff matchup, this will end the split for you guys here. Reflect back on the season. What's one high point that you want to highlight from your players, and what's one thing that you're excited to kind of be able to work with them or whoever you work with going forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I remember, prior to Upsurge, we had our first set of scrim. It looked, as you would expect with with the growing pains. There was the miscommunications, there was difficulties finding draft identity. And I think some of that did come out again today, but I think seeing them go from that scrim, right, and then going through the regular season, admittedly, the only team we had lost any games to was D-Rose. It happened again today. But I think even considering that, right, seeing them play through these teams, do so well in the regular season, and then make it to quarterfinals, I was really happy to see them make that development. I think going forward, we still have Risen. So we're gonna still go to Risen. We're gonna go into Dominate, and we're gonna do the best that we can. I think we are 2-1 right now, and we're just gonna try to keep the momentum going.
Absolutely. Love to hear that. Love to hear that, bit of positivity. What was the mood like from the players after this match? I know a lot of them were really viewing it as a grudge match. They really wanted to come out and put a stamp of authority, and to lose, had to have taken them down a little bit. So what was the mood like afterwards?
I mean, it was about as somber as you could expect. I mean, it's like you said yourself. They lost the 2 games in the regular season to D-Rose. They came in. We saw that we were into D-Rose this week. They were very hyped. They were like grudge match, like you mentioned, and then to kind of have things play out the way that they did, definitely put a damper on the day. We had some talks about some draft things that could have changed. Some other ways that we can kind of work on growing. So I'm hoping that we can keep the positive mental, at least as positive as you can expect considering the circumstances, and just come in on Sunday with a reformed, with a new mental, and just kind of keep on doing what we're doing.
That's great to hear there. Hey, we'll give you one last chance here while you're on the mic. Anything else you'd like to say, either to your team if they're watching this, or to the NESW fans who are currently watching the stream?
Yeah, I mean, I know for Captain Goofy and everybody on Lightning, I want to say thank you for working with me. This is my first season as head coach. It's not easy, to transition from assistant coach to head coach, and they've been pretty much always helping me, telling me like, hey, this is what you can do better on drafts. So having that kind of constructive camaraderie has always been super helpful for me. And then just everybody in NESW just coming out, every time that Blizzard or Lightning's on stream, and just showing support. I can't thank them enough for, taking the times out of their day to do that. So thank you again, everybody.
All right, guys. Once again, this was Ryu Kwan, the head coach of NESW Lightning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
All right.
Ryuga.
And, Sugar, while this might be the end of the splits that we have for League of Legends right now, this is not the end of the Twitch streams that we're going to be doing, correct? Can you maybe give us a little preview of what people should expect coming up here from the New England Stormwolves?
Yeah, no, you guys should expect a lot more content out of us. Next week, we are going to be back with Rocket League. They're going to have their first playoff match for Upsurge. We're going to look to expand our time here, see if we can cast one or two of these Risen matches. And if there's something that you want to see us do with our community, with our broadcast, please give us a holler in the chat. We are always open for suggestions, looking to, have some fun things, have some serious things, make sure to really show you what it means to be a part of the NESW organization. Ryuga talked about it a little bit, about the camaraderie, about the showmanship, about everyone coming together under this community, under this banner. It really is great to see. I really want to take an opportunity quickly. Thank everybody who stopped in to watch. If you haven't followed already, make sure to go ahead and do so. Lets you know whenever we go live. I also want to take an opportunity to thank Rogue Energy for keeping us energized, for helping us do what we do. Remember, code NESW for 10% off at checkout. And I also want to take an opportunity to thank Spartan. Thank you for casting. Thank you for producing today. And everybody who's watching, I loved having you here. I had a good time.
Quick little note from myself. Once again, thank you, Sugar, for being an amazing co-caster with me here today, helping me learn how to cast as well. If you guys are interested, make sure that you not only follow us here at NESW, make sure you also go check us out on YouTube. Subscribe there, because that's where you're going to start to see a lot of our additional content be posted. Can't give away everything, but all I can say is that we've got some really cool new people inside of the Stormwolves organization, and I cannot wait to see what we have and what we're actually going to be able to produce. So subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Twitch as well if you're feeling generous, or if you have one of those Prime Gamings that's feeling lonely. Make sure to also follow Sugar and myself both on Twitter and Twitch. You can find our information by doing !production in the chat, which I'm fairly certain that Sugar just did.
Yes.
And, thank you guys for being here tonight. While it was a disappointing end, we do have a result of D-Rose moving on to the semifinals 2-0 over the New England Stormwolves Lightning. My name has been Spartan Mello. I've been joined by Sugar Free. Thank you guys so much, and have a fantastic evening.